One of these days. Stupid green screen. Can't wait till the can't wait till the new one gets here. Seriously, it's like impossible to get that thing working correctly. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, right? I should stick to rockets. Thank you for playing a commercial in my own freaking channel. That is exactly what I need you to do. Yes, you don't have an axe to grind. Congratulations. So, let me mute that. Let me mute that. Let's see here. Welcome, welcome everybody that's getting set up here. I got a couple minutes. I am live. It's pretty close to 8 o'clock at least. Pretty close to 8 o'clock. Rockets are riot. Live hype. What? Yes. Sithily, now do you see video? You should see video now. Hopefully at least. I don't know if you do or not. Where is this? This needs to be moved down. Uh-oh, somebody mentioned me on my channel. Silverack is there. Who else is here? Who else is here? Much, Fukuda, Antares, Silverack, Retired Army, Corn Chips, gotta scroll. Steel Mage is here. Quantitas Letalias. Did you ever tell me what that meant, by the way, Quantitas? Quantitas Letalias. That's the wrong language, meester. Looks like this is everybody. Oh, Nightbot. Hello, Nightbot. Me. What's up, Much? That's from last night, apparently. That's Slim. There's Anders. Anders also. Let me fix that. Every day, I screw up the green screen a little bit more. Apparently now, this side of my face, wait, maybe if I do this. Oh. Well, that honestly almost makes a difference. But my face is like, I don't know, quantity of lentils. Nice. What's up, T-Game? I'm totally going with T-Game. I was going to do T-Agame. Or TG-Ame or something, just to, like, give you some trouble or whatever. But, there's that good job again. That's so awesome. Quantity of lentils. Is there a Google Translate, and does it handle Latin? I don't know. Dr. Pepper hype. Apparently Twitter has told people that I am going up in stuff. So that happens. Mad Monster Gaming also. Everybody welcome. You're coming on in. We got a couple minutes to hang out here. Maybe what I need to do is start these on time one day. I don't know. Let's play with the green screen right quick and see if I... Oh, yes. See, the problem is it's like lighter up there, but I don't know how to fix that. I need more lighting in that corner. Is there something behind it? No? And then I look like that. 80. Nope. 80. That's not right at all. What if we do like 80 on this number? I have been twatted. I look terrible. I look like I'm phasing out again. I do not know how to do this. It's so freaking annoying. Rockets? Easy. Chroma key? A little bit better, honestly. It's a little bit better. Let's try that. Nope, that still has the side of my face phasing out. I probably just need better lighting on that side, right? I don't know. Are there any video lighting guys in the house? Hey, maybe I just need better light on this side. I don't know. Whatever. Dr. Pepper gets mad. Free advertising, yo. I should like spill them and I should fill up these cans instead of drinking out of my. I mean, the 3-liter. I could just like out of the 3-liter, but that would be bad. I think we fixed this. I think we fixed the camera now. Or maybe we're just on a white launch pad. It all depends on the background scene. It like looks terrible in space, looks good on a launch pad. What can I do? Nothing. I can't do anything. Mighty Mouse 89 as well. Welcome, welcome. Let us 7 minutes. Let me see. Let me check with the roll. Let me see who's here. Sort of deal. All of a sudden, people. Yeah, I know. I went... It's actually insanely lime green, but the lighting just doesn't make it look like that. Train Calm also, what's up? The one I have is kind of pale. It's actually really bright, but I think what happens is it's not very thick material. Remember, it's $4 Walmart material. And what happens is it can use a Dr. Pepper can as the background. What happens is it's really thin material, and I think a lot of the light goes through, and you get some darkness from behind it. Like, you can actually see my hand, kind of. So, I probably just need to... I just need to order an actual one, maybe. Who knows? It's good enough, really. Good enough. Good enough. It is. No, I'm dead serious. I have the receipt, the thing you read here. I've showed it on the screen before. $4.88 from Walmart. 2 yards of fabric. Apparently the top is phasing out because it's so yellow. But yeah, $4.88 from Walmart. Not even lying. Snuggly Squid, what's going on? Free software, $4 worth of material, $4.88 worth of material from Walmart. And all of a sudden, you too can be a streamer on Twitch. The camera I've had sitting around for I don't know how many years. It's just been paint the... You mean paint my closet green? There's a closet back there, retired army. I think I can paint the closet bead. Construction paper? You guys are crazy. You guys are nuts. You guys are something. I don't know. Something. All right. Reachian's Guild, Space Planes. We've already done Space Planes this week. We actually kicked off the week with Space Planes on, I can tell you, I have an Excel file. We did Space Planes on September 24th. So that was Wednesday of last week. So I will do Space Planes later this week. I do Space Planes once a week because it's so popular. Everybody wants Space Planes. But I did Space Planes on September 24th. And that's when we made the X-Wing fighter, if you remember. So I will do Space Planes probably Thursday of this week. Not tomorrow, but the next day. So if you love Space Planes, Thursday is your day to come here, is what I got to say about that. So, Reachin's Guild, Thursday, Space Planes. I'll do it just for you. I'll do it just for you. Scraggles McCoon also coming in. King coming in. True Science Nerd. You know the craziest thing, right? The craziest thing is that I went to the Very Large Array, right? The Very Large Array is in this huge, it's the huge radio telescope. It's got like 36 dishes. They're spread out over 31 kilometers or something like that. And I went to the Very Large Array. And we got to go on a tour. It's like twice a year they open up the VLA for tours. And they let you go around and they see all the different, how they assemble the stuff, the train tracks that they move it, because if you move it out, you get, what is it, less resolution but more something. If you move it in, you get, no, the other way around, something like that. But anyways, I go to the control center for the Very freaking Large Array, 36 of these huge radio telescopes. If you've seen Contact, right, that's where they filmed it with all those white radio dishes in the background. And you go into the command center, the building at the very middle of this, and I'm looking at these computer monitors, and I'm like, is that Excel? And they're like, yeah, we plan our moves in Excel. And I was like, are you kidding me? You plan the moves in Excel? I was like, yeah, we just type it into an Excel file, and then the software picks it up out of Excel, and we take it. I assume it's a CSV or something that's exported from Excel. But, yeah, the freaking Very Large Array, they can measure the bounce of the continents if they fall off each other, right? It's so freaking sensitive. You can measure the bounce of the freaking continents, keeping track of the movement of their dishes in Excel. If it works, it works. Whatever. What did I do? When will I do stations again? Stations again. Let me check the calendar here. I don't think we've done stations. Stations and Space Planes I think we do every week. I think I'm going to do stations and station... Blah, 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 blah. The things that float in orbit and then are there and they... Stations and Space Planes. The last time I did stations was September 12th. Quite a while ago. So we'll do both SSTOs and stations later this week. Maybe tomorrow and the next day. Stations tomorrow. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. We'll do stations tomorrow, and then Space Planes the next day, and we'll fly a Space Plane up and rendezvous with the station we make. I like it. I like how it works. They don't program in Excel, T-Game. They keep track of the schedule, like the dishes schedule in Excel, and then apparently something reads it out of Excel in a CSV file. This is a couple years back, right? So it may have changed. But yeah, they do something with it. My L is stuck. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. So let's do that. Stations and Space Planes. Good job, Tesla Max. Let's do stations tomorrow, and let us do Space Planes on Thursday. I think that sounds fan-freaking-tastic, honestly. And then I try to fill the other 3 days. I always want to do stations. I always want to do the stations, and I always want to do the Space Planes because they're really popular. Everybody always asks about them. We shall see. Let's plan on Wednesday and Thursday for that. Anyways, that's enough of me running my mouth. You've had a chance to get into the channel. If you're not here yet, you're late. Whatever. Let's see what... Wow, we're definitely filling up. We've got a lot of people coming in. That is awesome. I love everybody. M20 and 251 also. Dude, what's going on, 251? Everybody that comes in and freaking supports the channel every freaking night, over and over again. You guys are so freaking awesome. This lifter behind me, this thing's a piece of junk. I tossed it together for the keyframe. I don't even think it's going to go anywhere. It's not even staged correctly. Let's start the stream by trying to launch this lifter that I slapped together in 2 seconds. That doesn't look right at all. Let's see how far it goes. Absolutely no. Yeah, no. It's not even staged. It's going to fall on the ground. I'm not going to change the staging. I'm just going to launch it this way. Then we'll go build some actual lifters. So let's do this while people come in. This is not what you want to see. Oof. Whoa, well, maybe we should like the engines too. Oh, well, we got plenty of thrust, apparently. That thrust to weight. Somebody look at my speed at 5,000 meters and tell me what my thrust to weight is. Calculate it really, really fast. See if you can figure out approximately my thrust to weight, whatever it was on the launch pad. I don't even know. I just slapped this together so that I have a keyframe. The keyframe's a little thumbnail you see on the video, right? And that is all we're doing. Let's just see how far this thing will go. It's going a little fast right now. Little fast. It's like 10 stations. 10 freaking... You want to see a 1 billion kilogram rocket? What? Oh my gosh. Dude, someone in Dallas has Ebola? Not cool. T-Game's got a guess of 2.5. Alright, we are going freaking mucho fast here. Your quaculations. I just slapped this rocket together. Gravity turn. The pod doesn't even have a parachute. Let's kill Jeb on our inaugural launch for the stream. Way to go, DOS. You're not very good at this game. Oh, I don't even know when to do my gravity turn. I'm pretty sure we're not there yet. It's a little weebly wobbly. Come on. Get over here. Get over here, sort of deal. And 45 degrees. And since I don't, if you don't have engineer, you know, don't listen to a word I say if you don't have engineer. Oh my goodness, got the main engines. That's too high. That's way too high. That's totally way too high. Oh well, let's see how it goes. Add maneuver. I've actually got no reaction control on this thing. I don't have. Oh buddy, that's no bueno. That's no bueno. There we go. Let's see if we can at least get this into something resembling a station orbit. Oh, I have no... Look at my battery draining. Apparently I forgot something important. Oh, turn! Turn faster! Wait, physics warp? Yes! That physics warp. I don't think that the pod is turning me. I think that we just happen to be, like, turning on accident. Certainly that pod is the only SAS we have in this entire craft. Oh, whatever. Let's just fly it. The engines will help us turn. Yes. Yes. I have no clue. I'm so used to having the engineer up there, and I just watch the engineer. Let's burn down a little bit. That's probably good, right? Okay. What is this? Oh, I apparently... There we go. This looks a little bit more manageable. The screen's going to flip when I get in orbit at least, right? Who even knows? Screen flip? Screen flip? Screen flip? Aha! That means I got an orbit. Jeez. That is an ugly orbit. Not gonna lie. Well, shucks. I thought the thing was gonna blow up. It actually looks like a bullet of some sort. Alright, well, let's do that. Let's light this engine. Can I do that? Later! I'm going back this way. I decided, ooh, could I fly circles around it? Can I totally fly circles around that thing? We are going to get serious in just a second here. Oh, yes. Yes. I'm actually... no, wait a second. No. I'm orbiting my kicker stage with my payload. Maybe I can crash into it. I'm actually not sure I'll be able to crash into it. There, I lost the orbit. No. All right, I'm going by it too fast. Yes. Now turn at it. Turn at it. I'm apparently don't have my dorsal side going the right way. Oh, stay on target. Oh, no. Anyways. Jeb should do an EVA too. Let's go down and let's get Kerbal Space Academy started, y'all. That was just screwing around. Jeb is like, what? There goes our rocket behind him. That's the best when something flies behind the back of the screen. All right, revert flight. Serious face. Okay. Everybody. Oh, we can look right quick. Yeah, actually, let's look at the thrust to weight. Just so we know. The thrust to weight was... Ooh, let's put this one on. I like it. 2.6. Pretty good guess there. Look how much... We had 9,000 delta V. What? We had 9,000... This craft could have gone to, like, freaking Elu. This craft could have gone basically anywhere, and I threw it together in, like, 2 seconds. In fact, it should have been able to get to orbit on just the lifter stage if I had throttled down a little bit. So, anyways, we'll call this craft the I'll be damned that it had that much delta V. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm Das Valdez. This is Kerbal Space Academy. I know that you hear the spiel every night. That's cool, though, because some people haven't heard it yet. Kerbal Space Academy. Das Valdez. My entire thing is that I'm doing this live. I'm not just trying to show off. I'm not just being like, oh, look at all the mods I can use, or oh, look at all the stations I can put in orbit, or oh, look at my awesome space plane, right? That's not what I'm doing. I'm here to help you figure out Kerbal Space Program. That's my goal in life. And we do some wacky stuff. I mean, all right, we were screwing around with the rocket there, whatever. We did some ghost docking the whip last night sort of deal. So we have some fun. But my goal in life, in stream, in life, is to help y'all get badass at Kerbal Space Program. Pardon the French, but I mean it. I want other people to realize that Kerbal Space Program, while it looks really intimidating when people who are really good play it, I want you to realize that you can do a bunch of this stuff too. It's really cool, and it's not as hard as people make it. There's a couple different numbers that you can just put together. No big deal, and if you understand the basic numbers, I say y'all, I'm from Texas, come on now. I just want y'all to get into Kerbal Space Program because there are some things that look really complicated, and it's not as complicated as it seems. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain what I'm doing as I do it. I'm going to talk about the numbers. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. If I don't explain something good enough for you, I really want to. I want you to ask me a question. There's a couple different things you can do to get my attention. One, you can say DAS. You've already seen the chat lighting up with red things. That's because somebody said DAS, D-A-S, that's my name. That'll highlight it in red, and what I do is I scroll back on occasion, I read the chat, and if your question is in red, I won't miss it. I may miss it if it doesn't have DAS in it. The other thing that you can do is say use the word question. If you say, I have a question, or question, colon, or something like that, it'll highlight it in red, and then I will look at it, and then I will answer it like this. That's the entire point, right? That's what I'm trying to do here. That's my thing. So, anything else? Kerbal Space Academy, ask me questions. Tonight, we are going to be talking about lifter standardization. So somebody made a really great comment. I love my users. I love my viewers. Somebody made a really great comment the other day. They said, Das, dude, I'm totally surprised you don't have standard lifters for standard payloads to get in the orbit. And I was like, you're right. That's a good idea. I should totally have standard lifters. I don't know why I don't do that. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to design a couple different lifters. So let's make a couple different payloads first, just to come up with some sizes, right? And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the payloads. I'm just going to kind of toss them together so we can get the mass of them. But I'm going to try to shoot for 3 different payloads. I'm going to try to shoot for like a very small payload, a medium payload, and a large payload, like over 100 tons or something like that. Not the largest rocket we've ever launched. We've launched a 3,500-ton rocket. The Epic 6 orbital fueler sits on the launch pad at... Pilot the next rocket. Nice. The Epic 6 sits on the launch pad at 3,500 tons. That's a lot. We're probably not going to be going that big. But what I want to do, I want to design these lifters using my standard... Doesn't have a Dr. Pepper flag. There's no period in Dr. Pepper Tesla Max. We're going to design a couple different lifters. We're going to save them as sub-assemblies. And then in the future, anytime that I have a craft that needs to get into orbit, instead of building the lifter from scratch, which you see me do just about every time, I can grab a lifter out, and it should be pretty close. So that is what we're going to do. You know something? When Dr. Pepper officially sponsors me, when you load up my stream and it's like, gotta have a pepper, or whatever the slogan these days is, when you get that advertisement instead of underwear or whatever, yeah, get told, Tesla Max. I'm paying attention. Whenever you get a Dr. Pepper ad, whenever I start the stream, that's when I'll have a Dr. Pepper flag on the rockets. If somebody has a sister, ex-wife, I don't even care. Whoever you know at Dr. Pepper, talk to them. So, Let us see there. I put the period in Dr. Pepper. I don't even know what that means. What does this mean? I put the period in Dr. Pepper. Sleepy952! You're getting ahead of yourself, man. You're getting ahead of yourself. If we get through these lifters, I want to get through these lifters. And then at the end of this, I'm going to do an asparagus stage. I don't use asparagus staging much myself. It's useful in some situations like taking off from Eve and that sort of stuff. I don't really take off from Eve very often, but launching off Kerbal, I don't use asparagus staging. But I am going to build a craft using asparagus staging at the end of the stream. And we're going to take it places. It's going to use 6 fuel tanks. You can probably figure it out from there if you saw our SDPTO last night. Also got the highlights from the SDPTO mission. So, let me see here. Did I miss anything else? Let me check the chat. Sleepy, you didn't miss anything. I will say it is 2.66. Nice, Antares. Did I miss that? No. When the kitchen is like this, it means it's called mecha, or main engine cut off. Thank you, M25 feed. Yes. Claude Henry Smoot, what's up in chat? Hey, Wazzy. We are doing lifters. For anybody that's just coming in, we're doing lifter design. Standard lifter design. Lifters we can use over and over and over again. 3.14 thrust to weight. I used to bullseye Womperants with my T16. What? What does that have to do with anything, really? I'm going to play along with my KSC and get science with DOS. Crazed you are more than welcome to do that. Some people do that, y'all. Some people fire up their own KSC in another window. They just listen to the sound of my melodious voice. And as we go, they play along. Sometimes they copy my designs in their own game or they tweak them a little bit. People do all sorts of cool things, and you are welcome to do that. You're welcome to do that. I put the period in Dr. Pepper. You didn't miss it. What do you mean, grab a lifter? Can you load 2 shits at once? I will totally show you. They Thor guten Tag, yes. Crazed, I will show you what we mean. I will totally show you what we mean. Scraggles McCoon will also tell you what we mean. That's a $5 word. Melodious. Doesn't describe my voice at all, but it is a $5 word. Alright, let's get to building some lifters here. Cheese Goblin. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. I'm Dos Valdez. We do these streams every night. We're doing lifters tonight. Welcome. Let's start by designing just a really small lifter that just does a little basic teeny tiny orbiter, right? And let's see what this guy clocks in at. Grab a fuel tank from the front to the back of the chair. Yeah, we'll do a little bit more than that. Again, don't want to spend too much time on this. If you want to know how to get to orbit, I do sessions specifically on getting to orbit. If you want to know how to land on the moon, I do sessions on getting to the moon. If you want to know, that's good enough. All other parts we could put on here would be inconsequential. I do sessions on all sorts of different topics. You are welcome to join me for any of them. That's tiny. 1,500. Okay. Well, how could we make it a little bit bigger? Let's shoot for 2,500. Let's shoot for 2,500. So 2,500 is probably just going to be one more fuel tank, and we will make our smallest lifter carry 2,500 to orbit. 2397. Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. And a little bit more. And check this out. All I'm going to do with this, in fact, all we should really do. Rope. Oh, I was looking at the. What the heck was I even looking at? 2,500. I thought I did that right the first time. So this is about 2,500, right? This is a really super simple rocket. We are going to start simple because we're going to be talking about the way that I design lifters. There are lots of ways to design lifters. I've got a standard way that I go over and over and over again. I do it this way because it's easy to think about. You don't have to do a lot of hooting and hollering and trying to come up with different ways every time you do a different lifter. They're just very easy numbers. I bet you could type them in the chat. I was looking at Delta V instead of the mast. Whoopsie. So this is a very simple orbiter. In fact, this orbiter would probably get you out to the moon and back, at least with a free return trajectory. Oh, I said stay on target. Nice. Thank you, Tesla Max. You keep trying to rotate ships in the video. Thador, why don't you tell me, and I'll rotate for you on a 20-second delay. Oh my gosh. Followed by 40 and 80 tons, or 50 and 100 tons, or something like that. Yeah. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. So this is 2,500 tons. We need to get it to orbit. It's simple to get this to orbit. We're just going to make a really simple 2,500 ton lifter. So let's start off with, the first thing we need is going to be a decoupler. If you are new to Kerbal Space Program, you separate your different stages. The stages are the phases of the rocket almost, right? The different stages are separated by these stack decouplers. And you usually put the engine in the same stage that it gets decoupled by. So let's illustrate that. And I am going to talk through this. I love it. So cool. We're going to be putting 6 of those around some planet that's not Kerbal later in the stream. Let's see here. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So our payload here is 2,500 kilograms. We need a kicker stage. Numbers on the kicker stage are not 2,500. Numbers on the kicker stage are 1.5 thruster weight, about 1,500 delta V. Let's see what we can do to do that. Let's start with this. That in an engine. I know from experience you don't want to use the 909 on kicker stages. It's just don't even load it up. It's not going to go well. There we've got, let's close this. Again, this mod that I'm using, Kerbal Engineer, download it. It's in my channel description. It's freaking awesome. Get the 1.0 version. It's the latest version. Cybertech, don't know if he's here, didn't check, but it's made by Cybertech, another streamer who frequents the channels very often. It's totally cool. Totally cool. Here's what we're doing. Going for 1,500 delta V with a 1.5 thruster weight. This engine, there's like not a good engine for this kicker stage, but it's okay. Let's go and let's explain this. My thruster weight is really high. I want 1.5, it's 3.2. That means that we could add about double the fuel to this, right? We could come over here and we could add twice as much fuel. I'll just illustrate it like this. Add twice the fuel to it. Put this engine on it. That's still... Jeez. What is going on here? No, that's fine. Oh, because we had the payload too, we can add even more than double the fuel. This thing is way too big. This engine is way too big. So, let us do this. There's no way that that's going to get us to orbit, is it? Let's see. Let's find out. 0.96. Eesh. I don't like it. I don't like 0.96 in a kicker stage. Dude, Bama Medic, welcome. Banana Batman, Scraggles McCoon, everybody that's been coming in, Anachronicus, etc., etc., etc. Everybody that's coming in, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy, doing lifter designs tonight. Is there anything we can do? What if we used one of these? 1.61 with 1,200. Actually, that's a very interesting concept to use one of those. We're not going to do it, y'all. We're going to use the 45, and we're going to put a little bit more fuel in it. Here's what we're going to do. Let's just get a little bit more fuel. And it is okay for this rocket. 1,400, 2.96. Let's put a little bit more in it. One of these double-sized tanks. That's where it at now? Where's that tank? It is... This is right there. Let's put that in. Let's put that in. All right. 1,600, 2.73. That's way high, but that's okay. That's okay. That's our kicker stage. At least 1,500 meters per second delta V. You don't want like 5 grand in it. And at least 1.5 thrust to weight. This one with 2.73. This engine is a little bit overbuilt. It's more than what we need, but we're lacking options. Maybe we could cobble something together using radial mounted something or others, but we are not going to worry about them. What about those? No one ever uses these. These poor engines. They're like the redheaded stepchild of Kerbal Space Program engines. Alright, so at least 1,500, at least 1.5. Check. We're good to go. Next stage, and I am going through this a little bit fast because we want to get to the more interesting rockets, the bigger rockets. The next stage I call the kick. I bet you we can do it like this. Let's see here. Let's put them 45s back on again. Where's the 45s? 1.5, 1102. Okay, what if we just put more of them on? So I'm just putting these on 3x symmetry like that. 19 with a 2.4. All right, what does that mean? 2.4 thrust to weight, only 1,900 meters per second. 2.4 thrust to weight, that means I want that to be 1.7. I've got 2.4. I can add more weight for the amount of thrust that I have, right? That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm actually going to come over here and add more weight in terms of fuel. And what do we get when we add more weight in terms of fuel? We get more delta V, which is what we want. 1.9, 2,500, this thing will go to orbit all day long. In fact, we can dress it up a little bit if we want to. Yes. Yes. We could also put chutes on it. I mean, heck, maybe you're in career mode and you wanted to run a deb recovery or something like that. You wanted to save the money from this stage. You could put chutes up here instead. You could put radial chutes on the kicker stage. There's lots of stuff you can do. This is all we really need, and this is a really standard rocket design, right? It's easy. It doesn't have to be that complex. It is a little bit overbuilt. Let's toss these on it. I'm missing some parts from that. I know power generation, etc., etc., etc. Let's go ahead and put that down to the ground. That looks good. So what are we looking at? What are our numbers, right? 2,500 LTV in the lifter, 1.89. That's good. 1615 in the kicker, 2.7 for 3. That's good. Here is something that I'm going to do in the VAB, right? I like this in the VAB. In fact, there's a couple different ways we could put this together. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to thrust limit these engines. You've seen me do it before. I'm going to thrust limit the engines and see if I can't get that to exactly 1.7, or at least closer to 1.7. 1.7 exact. I swear I didn't practice that in advance. I thrust limited all three of these engines to 90% throttle here in the VAB. That puts it at 1.7. If you're running engineer and you're new to Kerbal Space Program, I recommend doing that because it's one less thing you have to think about during lunch. Just make it 1.7 and it makes your lunches very easy. Again, some people have asked me in the past, does this work with near? Does it work with far? The non-stock aerodynamics? No. The numbers are a little bit different for those, but if you're just learning this stuff, which is kind of what we're focusing on here, you're in stock KSP, you haven't installed all those fancy-dancy actual mods that have better aerodynamic calculations, this is a good way to do it. Just thrust limit it down to 1.7. We can also do that with the kicker stage, right? We can go find the engine in the kicker stage. We can actually thrust limit down. Notice how it doesn't change our delta V. It just changes our thrust to weight. All I'm doing is throttling that. I can also do it while I'm flying, just by feathering the throttle. So I could give it less throttle. In fact, if I was on the launch pad and I gave the first stage 90% throttle, I would have this exact same result. For my first rocket sort of thing, I am going to leave it this way. This is super simple. This will go to orbit all day long on the bounce and by the numbers, right? We know what the numbers are. In fact, I could throw some at that a little bit more. But see, look at this. Here's something you can learn from it. And this is a good concept. This is something to understand when you're building more complex rockets, right? I've thrust limited this kicker stage, this LV T45 here in the kicker stage. I've thrust limited to 55%. This engine weighs 1.5 tons. I wish there was an engine that would give me 50% of the throttle of the LTV45, the thrust of the LTV45, whatever, the 45, that weighed about half as much. Because I would love not to have to carry that extra weight into orbit. For a rocket this size, does it matter? No. Could we come up with a better design by putting little radial engines on here or something like that? Yeah, we could probably do that. But for simplicity in this rocket, it's a low part count, we're keeping it simple. This rocket will go to space. We've got it tuned, like I said, on the bounce and by the numbers. So, I do wish there was another engine that fit that bill. Hey, Wazzy, we're going for 2 hours. We're going for 2 hours. Let us see here. When they really went to the moon, it's easier to ballpark the numbers. Did I miss some stuff there? Before I launch this, I'm actually sending it to the launch pad. Cray77, 1.7 thrust to weight on the pad. Given the rate that most engines in KSP burn, 1.7 on the pad means you'll hit all the checkpoints. Remember the checkpoints where you don't want to be going too fast that you're fighting against the air resistance. You don't want to be going too slow that you're wasting a lot of time in the atmosphere. That's why I say 1.7 on the pad. Stock aerodynamics, stock KSP, the stock engines, the way that things are kind of balanced stock, 1.7 is a great number. It gets you out of the gravity well as fast as we can, but it does not go so fast out of the gravity well that you're losing delta V to the thing with the air that you have to go through, the air resistance sort of thing. Let me see here. There were some questions in chat. Let me send this out. This ship will go to space. We're fine. I mean, let's toss some solar panels. No, DOS, focus. We don't need solar panels. We're just trying to get the lifter done. Focus. Like a laser. This is the 2500. We'll just do 2.5 KT. No, just T. Lifter. Save. Launch. So let me catch the chat while it goes to launch. It's going to load really fast. Double up on the 909s. Yes, T-Game. Yes, I wanted to keep it easy. I totally wanted to keep it easy, though. Stay on target is 2.5 tons. Yes. You caught me. Like I said, Kerbal Space Academy, I don't practice these things in advance. When things work out, they work out. When things don't work out, I'm like, well, that didn't work out. I'm not ashamed of it. I am just, I am just doing it that way. So I don't always get it exactly right the first time. Quantitas Letalis. I don't need thrust to weight less than 1 on a kicker stage. That's an interesting comment, Quantitas. The way that I'm designing it with 1,500 meters per second in the kicker stage and 2,500 in the lifter, I do need greater than the 1.0. I can show you what happens. In fact, if we have time at the end, I'll scroll back and I'll show you what happens. Or maybe we'll just do it at the end of this rocket. Let's see here. That is just what I repeat because it makes it easy. Lifter question. When you want to send a ship to, say, the moon, generally speaking, should you build the extra DV needed into the kicker of the payload? Snuggly Squid, that's a really good question. You can definitely you could have a kicker that not only gets you to orbit, but also transfer you to the moon. You can totally do that. You can add extra delta V into that stage. Make sure you still have your lifter at 1.7 and, 1.7 and 2,500. But you can just build a bigger, more beefy kicker stage and use it to transfer out to the moon. You can build a bigger, more beefy kicker stage and use it to kick interplanetary. That is up to you. I'm going over these concepts because, like you're doing right here, if you understand the basic concepts, I know you've been watching the streams for weeks now. Since you're getting the basic concepts, you can then take the basic concepts and you can tweak them around to your own missions. That's learning. That's what you want to do, because once you understand something enough that you can tweak it around and you can know what's going to happen, oh, well, why don't I just put that in the kicker stage? That means that you've progressed, which is freaking awesome. Whoa, no way. Okay, jeez, Fukuda. Scaring me there. Building into the kicker, yep. Copied my ship. I've explained that one, I think. Quantitas. All right. Why am I doing T-45s instead of T-30s? I will explain that. I will totally explain that. We'll go back to the VAV and play around. I think Quantitas knew. He was just asking. Yes, I go with 1.7 for all lifting because it's got two parts to the equation, right? Thrust to weight. Is it weight divided by thrust? Thrust to weight? Geez, I don't know. I didn't look that up in advance. The thrust to weight has two variables in it. Thrust and weight. And it's the ratio of thrust to weight. That's why it comes out as kind of a percentage sort of number, like a 170% or something. It's just 1.7 thrust to weight. It's like a factor. So, yes, as long as you go for 1.7, it doesn't matter what your weight is, because to get to 1.7, you'll have to add more thrust. It doesn't matter what your thrust is, no matter what your weight is, you'll have to get to 1.7. So, yes, thrust over weight. Thank you. Thrust over weight. I thought thrust to weight, thrust over weight. I don't look those things up in advance. I just talk through them. Let us continue. Smoot. Yes, okay, I got you all. Let's launch this puppy. Let's take her to orbit. Remember, I thrust limited the injures. That's not right. Don't forget your staging. KSP is so wacky when it decides how to do your staging. I've got my launch clamps, and I've got all three of my main engines in the first stage. I've got that, and I've got the engine that it fires in the next stage. Then I've got that and that. That staging's good. Let's see if this rocket goes to space. Panel lock means click on that little fuel tank thing. SAS engage means press T. Throttle up means 100% throttle. Why am I doing 100% throttle? Because my thrust to weight is 1.7, and this is going to make the flight profile so easy. So let's go to space. What's up, Ray? 1.7 thrust to 1 weight. There you go. Yes, that is how it works. 1.7 thrust for every 1 weight. Yes, I will definitely explain the details. Crazed. We'll go over that a couple times as we work on these lifters tonight. So here, our first checkpoint, right? We've got our numbers right in the VAB. 1.7, 2,500, 1.5. What was it? The thingy with the stuff. 1.5 and 1,500 is what I meant to say. Our first checkpoint, which we don't have to worry about because we started at 1.7. First checkpoint's 5,000 meters, and we should be going 160 meters per second. 150, 160. So there, we're going a little bit fast. That's okay. The next checkpoint is going to be 10,000 meters. We should go in about 260. We're going to be going a little bit of fast again because I put it right on 170. And the reason that's happening is because this rocket is mostly fuel. It burns a little bit less. When you have a more complex rocket that has lots of structural minerals, like the payload is more and that sort of stuff, it will actually burn less of the fuel. This rocket is just gaining thrust to weight faster because the payload is so small. There's 10,000. Then I want to do a gravity turn. You can see my no board there coming up. Do I have it running? I do have it running. You can see I'm just tapping D. I'm just bringing it over. Can you just go like that and then immediately go to 45 degrees and go like that? Yes, you can. It's better to kind of lean it over slowly but surely like this. My thing that I look at is trying to keep the ball on that edge of the thing. Don't just like go straight to 45. The same thing, you know I hammer it in their heads. This is 45 degrees on the nav ball. I'm pointing at 90, but don't be confused. This is 45 degrees on the horizon because that rocket is going up at a 45-degree angle. Next checkpoint right there, 50,000. I need to point into my orbit when I get to 50,000. I want to trade this out. There we go. Excelente. And I'm just going to raise this up. I'm going to go to 80. 80 is a good number. It gives you lots of wiggle room. 70 is the minimum. You don't really want to be under 70. You can't really be under 70. But I'm going to put it up to 80. Most of my ships orbit at 80. You can choose something. I wouldn't choose 70. I would choose 80 to 90 because it's less delta V to get there. There's 80. There's 80. So I just burned until my apoapse was 80, right? We press M to get to the map screen. We come over here. We click on the apoapse like that. Add maneuver. Pull on the prograde until it flips around. That's a $142. That's not good. Let's pull it back now, boss. So let's see here. That is 82. That's 46. All right, we're way off. We didn't get it right on the apoapse. Let's put it back on the apoapse. All right, so that's pretty close. And what I need to do is use this. This is just a way to tune it. I could also click on precise node. I know. If you don't have precise node, just use your radial in to bring the apoapse back and then burn some more. It's going to waste a little bit of delta V doing that. Not going to lie. But it is the easiest thing if you're using the stock thing and not the precise node, which I just turned off. So then we just drag again. What is that at 56? Let's do a little bit more radial in just to bring it back. It's okay. We're wasting a little bit of delta V doing that, but it's okay. Then burn it a little bit more prograde until they start to move really quickly. When they start to move really quickly, that means they're going to change positions. It's going to go from the lowest here to the highest there and flip around. Actually, the highest there to the lowest there and flip around. That's what's happening. It's best if you can get them on either side of the planet like that. I had it there, and now it's there. I'm going to have to burn really soon, by the way. Wow, that's a problem. Talking too much DOS. That is apparently a very long burn, and I did not start early enough because I had a pretty bad launch, actually. I didn't turn fast enough. I should have turned a little bit faster than that. We'll still get into orbit. It doesn't matter if we don't do it exactly perfect every single time. Just go ahead. What I was saying, that was a minute and 10, minute and 12 burn or something like that. In fact, we could have throttled up, right? Whoop! There, more throttle. That's going to get that burn done faster and make it more efficient. So, what just happened, right? What was I just talking about? I had that engine throttle down. What was that about? You didn't need that much in a kicker stage? I could have been burning for longer, I know. But I had that engine throttle down. I wanted to decrease the time of the burn. So I right-clicked on the engine to get its tweakable, and I unset that thrust limiter. I gave it all the thrust it could possibly have just so that I could turn that burn down. Now look at that. We got to orbit. We had 215 meters per second left here, and we had another 2,000 just about in the actual payload. This guy could go to the moon. He could go to Minmus. He could do whatever he needs to do. You could slap some science experiments on there. Jebediah in his little orbiter is good to go. This rocket right here will also complete your first career missions. The get above 70K, get your first orbit, that sort of stuff. Recover craft that came from orbit. All of those missions, this little craft right here would definitely do it. Let's go back to the VAB. That wasn't the best launch ever. That definitely wasn't the best launch ever. So let us revert flight back to vehicle assembly. Let's play with some of the things, right? I think what we want to do, we want to hit some of these concepts. So I want to do this launch again as it sits and not screw up the burn, basically, right? Because I talked too much. This time, let's see with these numbers that I've put in how much delta V we have left when we get to orbit. Using this design right here with the numbers that I've pre-programmed in. 1.7, 2500, 1.5, 1600. Let's launch it again, and we're going to test some things. We're going to come back here. We're going to use a lot higher thrust. We're going to have a kicker stage that has maybe, I don't know, what do you guys? You guys tell me what to set the kicker stage as. A lower number, like maybe just the LV909 or something. Let's test some things here, and let's see how it affects the rocket. That's what we want to do. We want to understand these basic concepts in terms of what I do to the rocket and how I fly the rocket versus how the rocket performs. So this time, I will talk less, and I will fly more, and we will see how we can get to orbit. Panel lock, SAS engage, throttle up, staging fix. I apparently didn't fix that. Frackin' smackin' backstabbing KSP. Let's do this one more time. And I will check the chat after I get into this orbit. 3, 2, 1, go. And I saw that over there, Quantitas. You won't have all the parts. You are correct, sir. In fact, I do a KSA stream on kickstarting your career, and we talk about that instead. We talk about that. Where what do you do first off with the parts that you have available right when you start a new career? You are correct that you won't have all of these parts unlocked when you start a new career. And I do a stream on kickstarting a new career. So here we're playing in Sandbox. We have all the parts available. I need to shut up and fly the rocket, honestly. But yes, it's possible to finish career mode in 2 launches. What? I bet you could do that. So let's see here. Everyone's saying that is absolutely correct. I'm playing in Sandbox. So what I said about it could complete your 2 launches, technically correct, but in career mode you wouldn't quite have these yet. That is absolutely correct. And I don't feel bad when people say things like that in chat. That is technically correct. And technically correct is the best kind of correct. Except it makes people mad sometimes. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So here we go up to 10. Then I'm going to do that gravity turn. So here's 10. Let's get that turn done faster this time, because I did not have enough time last time. Turn this thing over, and I'm going to pull it a little bit more severe because this is a very small rocket, right? And here we go. We're pointing it down there. Now I'm pointed at 9 degrees. Maybe a good thing is have it over to 50 or have it over to 45 degrees by the time you reach 15. Maybe that works for a small rocket. I haven't tested it for a lot of different rockets, but maybe that's the thing. So we just keep doing that till we get this up to 50. Right there at the 45 degree to the horizon. Same sort of deal, right? I'm going to watch it. I'm totally going to watch it this time. 42, we're going to run out right before we get to 50, which is cool. There we go. That's 50. Turn and burn. So click on that and then burn straight into your orbit. And we're going to shoot for 80 each time. So let's see here. 80 each time. And I just want that orbit. I want to get all that orbital velocity. Is it possible to launch such that you kill your burn at the last second, right? So you actually circularize the first time you turn off your engines? Yes, it is possible to launch that way. It's a more complicated launch. A lot of people can do it. We can definitely do it. But we don't need to if this is kind of my first lifter sort of deal, which is... Thoop, there's 80. Now I put it a little bit above 80. I'm still in the atmosphere, so it's going to be going down. Let me go plan this node, and let's see how much delta V we have left over right here. Add maneuver. And do it until I get 80 out there. Look at that apoapse going. If you've got precise node... What? No, Kerbal Engineer. Sorry. If you've got precise node, you can just click on apoapse. That'll put your node directly at the apoapse. It's actually useful for these burns, because then I can just burn until they flip. That's 82 by 80. Let's bring it back, boss. That's 80 by 80. That's good. Let's get this burn done. 1 minute and 1 second. In fact, I've got 1.5 thrust to weight, so let's do it with 1.5 thrust to weight. Using these numbers. So, this is going to take us about 30 seconds. That means I need to start this up at, let's just say T-minus 31 seconds. Again, I always half the burns. You want half of your burn before the node and half of your burn after the node. The node expects that you'll be able to do the entire burn at the exact instant that the node comes up. It's like T-minus 1, T-minus 0, bam! 1,000 meters per second of delta V, and then all of a sudden the engine shuts off. Engines don't actually work that way. I actually need to do the burn. That's why we split the node in half, though. I try to fill the available space with explanations. Y'all know me. So here I go at 1.5. Could I do the burn faster? Yes, I could. Let's see here. So I'm just doing the burn. Yes, yes, yes. Could we do the burn faster if I remove the thrust limiter off this engine? Yes, we could. I'm just doing it exactly this way to see exactly how much delta V we have left over. Let's bring Kerbal Engineer back. That's interesting. There we go. I'm apparently burning a little bit up. Let's burn a little bit down. If you're watching Kerbal Engineer, as you're doing your circularization burn, if you can make your apoapse not change, that is the best thing. 40, 30, 20, 10... Did that stage run out? No, I turned it off. 8, 7, 6. That's a pretty darn circular orbit. And what do we have? Let's actually write down. I'm going to write down. You know me. I got my pen today. Let's write down what we have in this rocket. So with the numbers I put in, we've got 264 in the kicker and 1921 in the rest of the stage. In the actual payload, right? That payload's not going to change. We were able to get to a circular 80K orbit at 264. So, let us go ahead. I'm going to revert this flight. We're just getting that number. We're going to go change this up and do it again. So what did y'all say? I do need to scroll back to chat. You said you didn't need you didn't need 1.5 in a kicker stage. Let's see here. A KSP speed earn? I don't even know what that is. Crazed. I've been playing the game for a year and a half or so. Last July, maybe. Can't describe what happens in like 5 seconds. What did I just miss there? Don't know what I missed. Less efficient. What were we talking about? Turning over is very different with far. Nice. Yes, like I keep saying, this is for stock aerodynamics. This is for people who need to learn the basic concepts before you get into the complex stuff of far and near and that sort of stuff. Who else did I get? Lunchbox, Ray, CNC Master, what's going on? Solo Asylum, Desarn is here. Awesome, Zach came in. PG Almighty, a lot of people came in. All you guys are regulars too. You are all awesome. Let us see here. Yes, we talked about that. I answered that one. You're welcome, Crazed. Anything else? Possible to finish career mode. Okay, we all know that. Again, we're not trying to show off. Is it possible to finish career mode in 2 launches if you're an expert at Kerbal Space Program? Yes, it's possible to do that. Is the target audience of Kerbal Space Academy people who can do that? Scott Manley's not going to come here and learn anything from me, right? That's not the target audience. I am here live, and anybody that doesn't get these basic concepts, anybody who couldn't do it in 20 launches or 30 launches, those are the people that I want to talk to. It's totally cool to watch that stuff, but I also totally want to make sure that these basic concepts are totally good to go. So let's see here. Video, If y'all could be careful launching the things to YouTube. Not everybody knows that if you click on it, it actually takes you out of the stream. You have to right-click and do open a new window. So I would appreciate that. It doesn't even need to be greater than 1. All right, Quantitas, you tell me what you want it to be. You tell me what you want it to be. Peanut butter is good? What? Those are my science classes. Somebody told me to leave it on. That's the hard part. Thanks, DOS. All right, good deal. Everybody got a shout-out. Less than... So tell me, Quantitas, let's make it less than that. Let's go ahead and unthrottle these engines. Make it as high as we want. And let's go up to this engine, and I just set it. It actually doesn't need to be that. Wow! Did I not turn that down again tonight? No, I turned it down. That's just really loud in my headphones. Who was that? Fukuda. There's not an admission fee to my streams, Fukuda. I totally appreciate you, dude. Every night you send the tip. And that is awesome. Dude, thank you so much for the support. I totally appreciate it. It's absolutely not expected, though. Thank you so much. You are awesome, dude. Let's see here. Can I go over... There we go. It's going to be a long burn. Every time, right? Every time I'm like... So let's see here. I am going to... We said we need a lot less than that, so let's do it. That is going to change us up, though. Let's do it anyways. Let's put a little guy on there. There we go. There we go. 0.79. Will that do you? That's way too much Delta V. This isn't even the same rocket. We can definitely get to orbit using this. Now I've got 1.95 down there. Is that with those delimited? Yes. Let's fly this one. Let's actually fly this one and let's see. Dude, Fukuda, you're awesome. You're absolutely awesome. And I will put that in the headphone fund. So we're happy with that? Alright. We're going to have more left because this is a different engine than we had before, right? But let's launch this rocket and see how this rocket compares at 16407 with the other one. We can get it to space. We can definitely get it to space. Pull a tank out of the kicker. Pull out a tank in the kicker. Take off a fuel tank then. Yeah, we can do that too. Ray, okay, I read my messages after the stream. Y'all wanted me to pull a fuel tank out. I'll totally do it because we're doing science here, right? We're playing around with these rockets. So I will totally... I'm following some suggestions from the stream here. That's my entire point. That's the one thing you can't do on YouTube. You can't guest test and revise right here live on the stream. And that's why this is so much fun. So we wanted to take a tank out like this, like that. I think what was going on is this is going to give us less delta V, right? Yeah, 1338. This will also go to orbit just fine. We could go to orbit on this rocket just fine. Let's get it done. Direct shower time. You have none. Pad thai. Ooh, that actually sounds delicious. That actually sounds delicious. That sounds really good. Honestly, some pad thai right now. I had a TV dinner. A Hungry Man TV dinner for $2. Alright, so what do we have? We have 206 on the pad. That's okay. We've got 1390 in the second stage with a, what was it? It was like a 0.9. It was like a 1.0 basically thrust to weight. Let's fix this and let's launch this rocket and see what it looks like when we get it in orbit. Throttle up, panel lock, SAS is already engaged. 3, 2, 1 space. Oh, I cheated. It was a little bit higher than the other one. Because I didn't lower it. It's not scientific. We didn't control a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and fly this one. And I've just got it full throttled up. I didn't follow my 1.7 on the pad, right? Ooh, that actually sounds delicious. I like it with like 5 little spicy thingies. 5 little spicy thingies. You could even have a little bit less in the kicker. I think y'all are all right. We are going to get this rocket to space, right? And I guess the thing that we're illustrating here is that the numbers that I repeat, the 1.7 and the 2500, they're not hard and fast rules. You can get to space 100 different ways, right? That's just what I say because it gives you something that you can write down and do every single time. And if you write down those numbers and you build your stages that way, it doesn't matter if you're building a huge 3,500 ton rocket or a little bitty tiny one like this. You'll get to space and you'll have numbers to shoot for. And that's really what we're going for there. So I'm going to do that gravity turn at 9 again. I'll do a faster gravity turn just like we did. There we go. We're going a little bit fast because I throttled those things way up. We'll do one more test after that. We're just testing things to see how it affects the performance of our rocket, right? What was that? Go buy peanut butter, Nutella, and bananas? What? I'm doing the same thing. I'm turning over. 90-degree heading, 45-degree angle. That is correct. I saw that in the chat. I can't remember who say it. Sometimes I'm bad about that. See if we can't get up to 55. So that rocket weighed a little bit less. We had less in the kicker. So we have a little bit more fuel in this stage. This one is going higher, right? 67. Wow. The lifter itself got us to 80. And now we barely even need this thing. Let's see. Oh, we're losing thrust there. Let's put it at like 85. We're still pretty deep in the atmosphere. That number's going to come down. But we'll have to do a correction burn. And this burn is going to take us longer. But let's go over here. 80. Put that in. I'm going to click on Apo just to keep it simple. Oops, I can't with engineer in the way. Click on Apo. Get rid of that. Back to the node. Fire it up. What was my burn last time? It was like a minute. This time it's definitely going to be a lot longer. 224, that's not good. Bring it on down to 80. 95. There we go. 80 by 80. 79 by 80. Close enough. Good enough for government work. Let us see. Do I like spicy foods? I grew up in South Texas. I love me some spicy foods. Whoa, it's already time to burn right now. It's time to burn right now. In the time that it took me to go plan that node, it was already time to burn because this engine is so weak with the lower thrust to weight. So what do we get from the more powerful engine, the 1.5 thrust to weight instead of the 0.9? We get more time. We get a shorter, more accurate burn, and we get more time to plan our node. That's one reason I do that. I know you don't need it to get to orbit. We can definitely get to orbit on this. We'll see how much. We should have a lot more delta V, honestly, because this engine's more efficient, and the craft overall is less. But we can definitely do this, and it will get to orbit. But I've got a lot less time to plan, right? I've got a lot less time to actually do it. And that's why I teach the higher. Remember, when you have the higher thrust to weight, it's more forgiving. In fact, you could put it all the way up to 2.0 or whatever it was, and that would be even less forgiving because you've got so much freaking wiggle room, basically. But again, that's why I teach, especially on the rendezvous craft, right? The rendezvous craft, I always say to put a very high thrust to weight in it. And I do that because for newer players who aren't expert launchers, expert rocket pilots, it's better to have that higher thrust to weight in there. You can get to orbit on slimmer margins, right? But you have to know what you're doing. You have to think a little bit more on your feet. So, this is definitely another way that we can get to orbit. Let's go ahead and watch this guy. And look at that. We're going to have 500 left in this stage instead of 900. Which one? The higher thrust weight is much more forgiving. So that, to explain myself, this is more efficient. You guys are absolutely right. This rocket right here that we put together is more efficient, but it's less forgiving. I have to fly it more accurately, and I can do it because I know what's going on. I can react really quickly. But if you're still trying to figure out the basic concepts, this rocket... Oops, I am definitely increasing my apoapse there because that node is off. Let me fix it. Let me burn down a little bit. That was an orbit. That is still... What's my time to apo? Wow, my time to apo. I was burning up at an angle for too long. But this rocket, even with this correction, this inefficient correction here, this rocket is a lot more efficient. It should have had 550 in the tank. So, harder to fly because it's got a lower thrust weight? Yes. More efficient? Did I get to orbit with more delta V? Also, yes. So, that's a really good thing. I mean, I really appreciate you guys putting that in chat, asking me to change that up like that. We put less fuel in the kicker. The numbers weren't exactly what I teach. But this rocket also goes to orbit just as fine and has more delta V left over. And the important thing is that we learned something, right? The other rocket with a higher thrust to weight, more forgiving. This rocket, less forgiving, takes a little bit better piloting skill, but more efficient once you get to orbit. So let's bring it on down, and I do want to do one more thing before we get into the big rockets. Let us see. More efficient, less fun. Yes, can I get to Ilu on a single red tank and one engine? Yes, I could do that. But you have to be a good pilot. One more thing I wanted to do. I wanted to demonstrate one more thing. I know I'm spending some time on this rocket. What other engine did I have in there? We are going to get to the big rockets. I think it was this one, right? Hopefully it's that one. And the other engine. I just completely took out the engine. I want to demonstrate one more thing. Remember, our first rocket had 264 left in the tank at the numbers that I tuned it to, right? Let's go ahead and not tune that rocket. Let's go with these guys. Actually, 1.89 is not going to make that big of a difference. 2.73 is not going to make that big of a difference. This rocket is overbuilt. Am I on atmospheric mode? Yes. Is this the exact clone of the other rocket, or did I change something? I honestly don't know. Shows how to get to Elu with one rocket. I'll do that during free play one day. How's that? A single stage to Elu. Actually, we may be able to do it by the end of the stream. We may be able to do it with a special with a special thing. Thrust to weight jump to 200? I don't know, Thador. Let's see. With the thrust to weight 1.7 and then jump it up. Maybe thrust limiting? I don't know. Is this the same rocket that we had before? I can't remember. Let's launch it anyways. I kind of feel like it may have been the smaller... No, this is fine. Whatever. Let's launch it. More efficient, less explosions. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Thrust to weight. With the thrust to weight, 1.7 till 10,000, then jump to 200. We could totally do that, Thator. We could totally do that too. Throttle up. SAS engage, panel lock, go to... Oh! Revert! That was cheating. Revert to launch. I didn't fix the staging. I still have never fixed... Why is nobody? Land a rover on the moon and also make an orbiter for it? Regions Guild. We honestly do a special session, session where we just make a lunar mission. I do that on Saturdays with my boot camps, and I also do that when we talk about lander design and piloting. The moon is usually our target for that. So if you want to see that, tune into KSA on one of the days that we do that stream. 3, 2, 1, panel lock, SAS engage, space. Staging fixed. I should make that part of the thing. Look, DOS, the solution to the radial decoupler's problem. Luis, if you only knew about the rocket that I had in store for the end of the stream, you have just posted what I had to do to fix the freaking rocket. Here we go with this. I'm going to fly it the same way. I'm going to go up to 10. I'm going to do that faster gravity turn. I'm going to try to be pointing 45 by 15 degrees, by 1500. And let's see how this rocket fares on the way up. So all I didn't thrust limit these stages. I didn't thrust limit that stage. Honestly, this thrust here is too much. I mean, not too much. This thrust here is really close to 1.7. It was 1.89. So it's not going to make that big of a difference. We'll do something that's like insanely OP at the end of this, and we'll put the same delta V in it, but show what happens with the completely wacky. I did that for a design that we're going to see later. Oh, who's going off there? Mighty Mouse. Take it, Evie. Thank you for stopping by, Kerbal Space Academy. We're just doing rocket launches over and over again. Here I go with my gravity turn at 10K, leaning over. I used that exact thing that Luis just posted. I used it in one of the rockets that we will be looking at later. Because that's what I had to do because of the radial decoupler bug. So there we go. We're going over. The lifter is doing more. I've got another comment on this, right? Ragin? Oh man, I know how I'm supposed to pronounce that. Because it's the hammer, but I don't know how to pronounce the hammer's name. I'm not even going to say it. Somebody type the phonetic into chat. There we go. Now let's do this. I'm going to bend that orbit over even more and see what we get to orbit with once we circularize. What's up, Zogs? Yes, it did. It did start. Oh my gosh. Oh, 81, 84. Gosh, I should never reach out while I'm doing this. Anyways, we'll be fine. Let's go circularize. Let's say that we used an extra 20, 50 delta V or something there. So much for that scientific test. What are these numbers? 73? Nope, put it right on the apo. Perry, 77, 80, 86. That's too much. Get it on the sides. Ding! 83 by 83. That should be close enough. We can already tell this is going to be 1100. It's going to have 253. This launch is almost exactly the same. Honestly. Because 1.89 was really close to 1.7, this one is going to come out to be... I mean, look, we can just do the math right now. We actually don't even have to do the burn. It's calling for 1100 meters per second. We've got 1353 in the tank. That means that after we complete this burn, we'll have 1353 minus 1100. That worked out really well, actually. 253 in the tank. We had 264 before. I wasted a little bit more delta V. This launch profile, 1.89 and 2 point whatever it was, is almost the same. So do you need to thrust limit the rockets when the numbers are that close? You don't have to worry about it. Just don't worry about it. 1.89 on that bottom stage is not that big of a deal. Mjolnir. Mjolnir. Thank you. Mjolnir. Let's look at one last thing here. I want to look at one last thing. Because we've got these three rockets, and you can do this. You can make lower part counts. This is one more thing to look at. You can make lower part counts down here. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts plus that, not counting those, in the lifter stage. Could we make a lifter stage with different engines if we had it? Of course we can. We can totally go over here. We can get rid of this rocket. We can stage it correctly first. That would be nice. There we go. Can we build a rocket a little bit more different? We'll just leave that like that. Yes, I can do that. I can put one of these bigger tanks on here. Where's it at? Is it this one? I don't know. Is it this one that we'll need? Let's try this in a skipper. So what did we had before? We had 3 of these LV-45s. Those put out 200 thrust each, so that's a total of about 600 thrust. That was too much thrust. We also know the skipper with 650 thrust has more than those 3 45s. In fact, the skipper, check it out, 650 thrust, mass 3.0. With these, to get 600 thrust, we need 3 of those. That's mass 4.5, so that's 1.5 more tons and 50 less thrust. The skipper is more efficient. How is it from a cost perspective? 2850 versus 950 times 3, so the cost is about the same, but this skipper is more efficient. More thrust for less engine mass. That's a good thing. Let's see how we can put it on here and get 25. Didn't mean to do that. But that right there, this rocket actually costs about the same. Actually a little bit less, I think, because of the way that those tanks are. And let us have a look. What is this right here? 2.3 on the pad, so it's got more thrust than it needs, and 2.73. Let's see the effect of not doing the thrust. No, I'd have to launch this too many times, and we don't want to do this. This little rocket's getting boring. We could also go to space with, instead of those 6 parts, the tanks and, or actually it was more than that, it was like 9 parts. Instead of the tanks and the 45s, we could use a tank and a skipper, and this rocket right here, by the numbers, will go to space just fine. We could. It would be even better if we used the little 909, right? Less forgiving again. In fact, we could probably do this. Let's see here. We could probably just go with one of these smallest tanks and the 909. And let's see how that looks. Thoop. 0.96. Ooh, we could go with the even smaller tanks. This little guy. Right there. And oops, where's the 909 at? There it is. there. Oh, that's an engine. Get rid of that engine. Put it like that. That right there would go to space for sure. Look at this. 3151 meters per second here. 2.62. I don't even really care about that. The kicker stage, 3949. If we get to 5,000. Remember, we want this number plus this number to be about 4,000 and we'll be good. Let's launch this one for the last time. You've been using it a lot? Dude, Snuggly Squid. Awesome. Let me get this one out the launch pad and I will answer some questions. I'm also going to explain one more thing, one reason I came up with that higher thrust to weight in the kicker stage. We'll talk about it on the next rocket. Let's launch this, and this right here will definitely get 2.5 tons of space. 1.6 just right for upper stages. That makes 6, Zach, because as long as you don't have wacky-looking rockets, you can definitely have less thrust to weight because it makes the atmosphere thinner but more realistic. So instead of soup, flying through soup, which is what Kerbin's atmosphere really is, near and far both make it less soupy. Seriously? That's a great place for those launch clamps. That makes a lot of sense. Let's launch this thing. Let's see how it goes to space. I'm going to do that. That thrust to weight's way too high, so I'm actually going to throttle back. So that's a trick, right? Throttling back instead of tuning it in the VAB. We could have done it either way. This skipper's going to take us to space. Be nice if we had like a little structural part or something there to make it look a little bit nicer. I think this rocket, I can actually read chat. CLP. I think that's going to be this weekend. I did say I would do that, but maybe I want to do that as like a precursor to boot camp or something like that. CLP asked the question yesterday, could I do a tutorial where I stream how to install mods for people that don't know how to do it? I know it's a pretty standard thing, people know how to do it, but we can definitely do a stream where I can show you on the page how we do it. What's up, Zool? Anything else I missed? Mjolnir. There we go. You just decided that you liked 1.8 better on near. Who suggested the higher? HVAC, was that for the kicker stage or for the lifter stage? Let's have a look here. Surface velocity pitch. Zach, what did Zach say? Yes. The numbers will be different for near and far. The numbers will definitely be different for near and far. I can't say that enough. This is for stock KSP. In fact, at some point I am going to install probably far on my career mode and we'll fly career with that. And then we'll get some different numbers. So let's do this. We're just pulling over. And let's... I mean, look at this rocket. This is like a short, stubby little rocket, right? But we are going to get it into orbit. Same exact profile. I did a gravity turn at 10,000. I tried to be pointing at 45 around 15,000. And now I'm going to fly up, up, up until I get to 50. Let's see if this skipper... a little bit more efficient, but we went a little bit fast. Let's see if the skipper can get us to 50. Oh, it's definitely going to get us to 50. Look at how much extra weight that has. I mean, look at this. The skipper is almost going to put us up to 80. Jeez. That's not good. 78, 79, 80 already. So we're going to do part of our orbital insertion burn with the skipper. Huh. How about that? We'll just go here. We'll do that. Add maneuver. We'll pull it around. Flip. Looks like my inclination was not off too bad. I'm just going to pull it and then wait for the flip. That's good enough. 93. Yep. That's close enough probably. Let's go back and do it. So, you're looking for the lifter, but Zach likes it lower. Doing it without a kicker. Interesting. You were just mobilizing the payload, orbiting insertion the payload. Let's have a look here. This is going to be a 20-second burn, so this is going to be a really efficient burn. However, we're not going to be able to do the whole thing, and we'll have... Wow. Actually, this is going to really screw with us. Because remember what happens, right? If you're new to my stream, you've seen this happen before. You already see what I'm looking at, right? You see the problem that I have created here. I think it's going to be a 20-second burn, right? Not so much. Because this is a 1,200 meter per second burn, and I've only got 275 in the tank with the skipper. This is a problem. This is a problem, and you will soon see why. Because when I start this burn, I could start the burn right now, right? But I'm actually going to half the burn, the typical policy. Started at 10 seconds, but this ain't going to work. Because we are going to get about 2 or 3 seconds worth of burn from that, but when we go to this, we have a very low thrust to weight. And it is going to be a lot more than a 20-second burn. that means the burn is going to be less accurate on the node. So that's not great. That is definitely not great. Must start now. What are we starting now? What are we talking about? You like tower, you can just go full throttle. Yes, it wouldn't work well with stock arrow. There you go. Cool, cool. By the power of efficiency. Nice. Yes, we would. Oh, that's what you were saying. We need to start burning a lot sooner. I was just illustrating that the burn wouldn't be done in 20 seconds. A KOS script to check out the differences. Dude, HVAC engineer, that's really, honestly, very cool. That is honestly very cool to have a script that you can simulate things with. Anyways, look at this. Even though the skipper got us a lot more to orbit, this entire thing is less efficient. That's interesting. Because look, we're only going to have like a buck in the tank. This is a smaller tank though. Maybe that's why we're going to have a buck in the tank, because we put less stuff in. Anyways, y'all get the point. Here we are in space once more. We've gone over a lot of different concepts about the things that affect lifters, right? What I want to do, we're in space. Congratulations, Jeb. What I want to do is actually go ahead and revert the flight back to the vehicle assembly. I'm going to toss together that first rocket I put together, and I'm going to save it over as a standardized lifter, right? We will do it very quickly. We're about to get to a lot larger rocket. And I think we may go straight to 100 tons. We may next generate a rocket that can take 100 tons to orbit. And we'll skip the 50 tons because we've spent quite a bit of time testing, actually doing some science on this rocket. I don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. I'm actually going to get rid of that. I want something that's forgiving for me so that I don't screw up burns whenever I'm live here on the stream. So I'm going to do the same design I did before. It looked like one of these. Like that. It looked like a decoupler. Like this. And then I'm going to save this as a subassembly. I'll show you how to do that. If you don't use subassemblies, you should totally be using subassemblies. They are absolutely freaking awesome. Did I use the big tanks? Maybe I use the big tanks. Let's have a look. Where? That's interesting. My computer's skipping a little bit for some reason. There we go. And then I put like one of these other tanks on it, I think. And then I put the 45 on it. Is that what I put? I can't even remember because I made it up on the fly, right? I didn't. It wasn't like a pre-designed craft. 1.9, 2500. Actually, this right here will get us to space just fine. It's interesting. But I will just go ahead and I will actually thrust limit this stuff down. 1.5. We'll actually leave it at 1.7 for this one. Man, 1.5. Changed it on the fly, DOS. Way to go. 1.5, whatever. That takes too long. You get the point. And these guys were at 90, I think, right? 90 and 90. 1.71. Good enough. So to do a subassembly. Let's fix that right there. You've actually got to grab part of your rocket that you want to stay as a subassembly. This is my lifter. This was the payload. This was the actually lifter and kicker stages, right? I want to grab that. The important thing about a subassembly is that the part that you grab has to have a green ball on it. See, observe the green ball that appears. If you don't have a green ball on the part that you grab, on the root node is the term for it. If you don't have a green ball on the root node, that means that you will not be able to save it as a subassembly. This one's good because it says there is a green ball on the root node. I can actually, you have to click on subassemblies first. It's this little part here. Then drag it over. And we're going to name this 2.5 ton lifter. Save. So now I've got 2.5 ton lifter. What I can do is anytime I have a payload that's 2.5 tons, it may be this guy, it may be, what's my root node, that guy. It could be any other part. It could be a Dr. Pepper can, that's 2.25. You could take a Dr. Pepper can full to orbit, and you could just, actually let me do that. You could just, for this guy, go to subassemblies, grab the lifter, put it on the bottom. There you go. You don't have to rebuild it. You just know that when you grab this 2.5 ton lifter from your subassembly, if you slap it on the bottom of your 2.5 ton payload, it will go to space because all your numbers are right where you need them. The other thing, I was going to do the Dr. Pepper can. Let's toss that. Let's put the little probe core in. Let's put that there. Let's put the Dr. Pepper can there. Weight of this, Kerbal Engineer says the weight of the Dr. Pepper can is just over 2 tons, which we knew. Show all stages. 2.3 tons, basically. So that's fine. And if I go over there and I grab my lifter, I can actually take that to orbit. That's actually impressive. That lifter can carry more than 2.5 tons to orbit. So, this lifter right here, I slapped it on there. It can put this Dr. Pepper can in orbit, no problem, and I didn't have to build the lifter from scratch. All I have to do is look in Kerbal Engineer. And the trick I used was show all stages, right? If you don't have an engine on your payload, you have to click show all stages. That'll show you the weight of the payload. And you can see the weight of that payload was 2290. Oh, it was a little bit less. That's why it was a little bit more. This is a little bit less than 2.5 tons. So, all we have to do is toss this in like that. It's a very... PJ Almighty, if you stay till the end of the stream, I'll be passing out free Dr. Pepper cans for everyone. I've got the mod. I've got a mod that you can install. The directory and game profile is KSA. I think that I can do that. So, I hope you get it. That is awesome. You don't have to rebuild that stage every single time. That's the entire point there. Let's make a big freaking payload. I think I saved it, right? I don't think I saved it. I don't even care. Let's just go and we will do 100 ton lifter. Straight to 100 tons. So I am going to need... I'm actually just going to put like a probe core on the top of it. And we're just going... Actually, not that probe core. It's too dang hard to grab. My favorite probe core. And let's see what we can do for a 205 ton payload to orbit. 100 tons. Sorry. Jeez. That's 41 tons. That's 82 tons. That's 20 tons. That guy plus that guy right there with a Kerbal Engineer on it so we can see what the... Why doesn't it read out the weight down here? The thrust to weight, even if it was just... I don't even know. You should just put the total weight of the rocket. The part count and the weight would make me happy. Honestly. Put that on there. There's 102 tons. So take a little bit of fuel out. There's 100 tons. That's pretty darn close. So this right here is a 100 ton payload. Let us design a rocket that can take this payload to orbit. I'm going to do the exact same things. Remember, we've talked about there's different ways. There's not just one way to get to orbit. You don't have to use the numbers I have. There are less forgiving ways. There are more forgiving ways. You could build a lifter with 5,000 delta V. You could build a kicker stage that has 10 delta V. Whatever you want to do. I hammer this in just so that people who have trouble getting things into orbit will start to understand how they can get things into orbit. So let's have a look here. Let's go with 100 tons. I know this rocket is probably going to start with one of these and with the bigger stages. Let's see if there's anything I can do to get a kicker that has... Where is that the stage at? There we go. 764 1.72. Remember, this payload, if I want this to be 1.5, that means I can add a little bit more in. Ah, you can't do it if that dead part's there for some reason. 1.5 with 1,000 meters per second. That is actually interesting. I wonder. We could add more thrust. What is this guy? He puts out 2,500, doesn't he? There's not another engine that you can node attach like that that puts out more. What would I need to do? Again, it does include the info display. Yes, HVAC engineer. I gotcha. Thank you for saying that. I do not have any problem with that at all. That information being given in stock would make a lot of people happy. Yes, I completely agree. Kerbal Engineer being included in stock would be very awesome. Not gonna lie. Let us have a look here. I think I'm going to actually add more thrust. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to add more thrust and then we can add more fuel. So I'm going to put these on in 4x symmetry. These are just like little helpers, right? And let's see what we get. I mean, this is only going to add 600 thrust. So let's see if this really does anything for us. That added 600 thrust. Let us also go over here and we will put some of these thingies in. Grabbing some fuel from there, bringing it down to there. And I actually need it to be bidirectional. I'll explain why. Right? I'm going to make this bidirectional. That means that I don't have to worry about it, right? That just uses all the fuel for all the engines. What would happen if these engines just ate from the middle tank? If we had fuel lines going from the middle out to these engines, this tank would empty. These tanks would still have fuel in it. This engine right here would not have any fuel. That would not be good. So with this engine running out of fuel, our thrust to weight would drop from 1.83 down to some other smaller number, right? And that's not really what we want. So Bobkin, what am I guessing? Let's put some more fuel in here. Let's see if we can't get away with 2 of those big tanks. And I'm trying to make a kicker at the same numbers that we had before. 1,400, 1.65. Wow, this is actually going to get it for us. This right here should get it for us. So what I can do, I can take these off and I can put more fuel on them, right? Because when we have extra thrust to weight, that means we can add fuel to the craft and still be good. Eek. No, I can't get it. Nope, that ain't working either for me. Sometimes that works. I'm just going to put this on in 1x symmetry, and then I will go back and re-add it in 4x symmetry, right? That's pretty good. I need to go up a little bit, I think. That looks pretty good right there. Bidirectional fuel. Let's put these on. That was 2x symmetry. Dad blame it. 4. Alright, that looks good. 1,500 delta V, 1.58. That actually looks really good. That looks really good. That kicker's a little bit tall, but that looks really good. Can't type tonight. Oh, yeah, actually, Dr. Pepper. Let me see here. You got a Dr. Pepper. Nice. What? Whatever Lewis is talking about sounds really cool. So let's now do our lifter stage. Let's go with the lifter. We know we're going to need one of these sorts of things. Ah! The deuce is it? It's that. We definitely know we're going to need that. We know that we are going to definitely go with this, and this, and this. Now, why did I do it in that orbit? Or in that order. I did it in that order for a very specific reason. That's 1.89. That actually can't carry that. Interesting. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I did it in that order. These engines, if placed directly on the bottom of one of the largest fuel tanks, they tend to overheat. It's not really a problem, but just out of habit, I do it like that. Let me see if we can do this with 2. These parts are so OP. Back in my day. 1.45 on the pad, 2589 delta V. This rocket would go to space. Just like it is. This rocket right here would go to space. I would want to fix that because that's a little bit dirty looking. Then I would go up here. That rocket right there would go to space, even though it's a little bit short. In fact, we could take a little bit. Could we take a little bit out? What is that? 1.46. That's odd. 1.47. That didn't take very much out. What if I just took those tanks off? Let's see. Let's take those off. So what did I do? It was really simple what I did, right? There we go. Doop, doop, doop. Now let's go put that back on in 1.x symmetry, and let's see how close this gets us. 1.6 on the pad, 2369. Wow, that wouldn't quite get us there. It's almost like we need 3 of those rockets instead of 2. What about more engines, same fuel? More engines, same fuel. Let's see here. Yes, I think that would definitely work. That's 20 on 360. Let me see what we get if I put just a little bit more. 1.7 with 2700. That's actually a lot more delta V than we need. So it looks like we could honestly get by with this. But we are going to tweak this. We are going to tweak this because these engines are expensive to just be spamming them on until we go to space, right? So let's put one there. Let's put these there. There we go. Let's toss these guys on. Oh, really? Yes, that totally looks like a place that you should never be able to install that stuff. This is definitely going to be dirty. I don't know. Was it an engineering challenge? Did they do it on purpose where they made these rockets, like, clip in different directions? I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. 1.97, 2462. That is actually really close. Look at that. That right there would go to space, even though we've got too much thrust on the pad, but we could totally tone this down a little bit. I bet you like 95. 94, I think, is the least we can do. Nope. Let me put it at 90. And there we go. 1.77 on the pad. That's still going to make us go too fast. 85. Again, I'm just tuning these things because it makes it super simple to toss it out on the pad. 1.68. That right there is good to go. That is actually good to go. This stage here could use a little bit more fuel. Like, we could totally put one of these tanks in, and this rocket would be perfect for getting to orbit. Let's have a look, and then we are going to go over some more advanced kicker stage discussion. Look at that. 3399. Yeah, that is actually really good right there. We could put a little bit more in even, but that is good. Would this go to space near and far? Not exactly the great ways. What's up, Cake Buster? How's it going? How is it going? Of seeing what crazy... Yeah, exactly. That is probably what we did. It's like, oh, it's going to clip. You know how I'm going to fix it? I'm going to ignore it. And let us... Gosh, I almost really want that to be a little bit prettier. I don't like using tri-symmetry. Ooh, and when I do, I like putting it this way. But that right there is good. It'll be okay. Nose cones, we don't really need them. Let's not spend a lot of time on making it look pretty. Let us go and launch this rocket and see if it goes to space. So what was it? It was 100 freaking tons, right? This entire tank, plus this tank, almost full, to orbit. We've got no RCS on there. We've got no SAS, actually. So let us go and launch this one and see how we're doing. Let me see here. No. There you go. Outstanding. Oh, you SAS. Darth Bellon, you can get exact. I mean, you can recreate the Apollo missions almost exactly. That's dirty. What did we not do? We didn't strut those big tanks in there. See how messy it is? I mean, look at that. That rocket looks terrible, right? But let's see if it goes to space without the struts. Maybe it'll blow up with the struts. Maybe it'll blow up for us. One thing about that, look, this is something to look at. Do you see the gap? Mind the gap right there, right? You see the gap, how those rockets are actually pushing out? Because they're not strutted in, I don't have struts going from there to there. That is actually a little bit wasteful when it comes to Delta V, and it's going to make us fly a little bit sideways, which I don't like. So let's see here. We're going to have to add some struts down here to strut those things in. That is definitely a thing we need to do. A bunch of fuel and no way to dock. That's exactly... Yes. All that mass for one probe core. All we were talking about was the weight of the payload. Yes, if you got past that, you'd have 1,000 too much Delta V. Well, good to know. Zach, why would it be a pile of parts? Why would it be a pile of parts in FAR? Just because of the parts sticking off the edge, like we have no aerodynamics whatsoever? Is that why it would be a pile of parts? Let me know. Type it into chat. I am interested. Who asked about the Apollo missions? Where was it? Darth Bellon. Yes, you can totally get very close to the Apollo missions. If you search for KSP Apollo, you'll see tons of people who have made Apollo-type replica craft. The same mission profile, launching the, what was it? The LM, or the, yeah, launching the LM upside down and having to redock it, all that sort of stuff. You'll see lots of people who have done that in KSP. It is very, very cool. I need to do a gravity turn, talk less. But you can do the entire profile, you can have the, if somebody has a really cool, Apollo-style mission, hopefully the most realistic one that actually does the... Yeah, that's what's up now, FAR. The most realistic one that does the redocking during the lunar transfer orbit, that does the separation... Goodbye. That does the separation of the command module from the lunar lander, that does the two-stage lunar lander and ascent module. If you got that, go ahead and post it up, a link to that, because you can do some really cool stuff in KSP. It's totally like... I mean, it's totally Legos, right? 61, 62. I didn't need SAS on this for the kicker stage because I've got so much freaking gimbal. Look at that engine gimbal. OP as heck. I'm not gonna lie. Let's put this puppy in orbit. And I'm gonna shoot for 70 again. Bam Bam 6. Bam Bam. Bam Bam. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. I'm Dos Valdez. This is Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing standardized lifter design. Just different ways to design your lifters. So, add lifter. There we go. Good enough for government work. $177. Wait till it flips back around, and we'll get this guy circularized. I'm actually interested in seeing if I can circularize with the kicker stage, honestly. Put my burn on my apoaps, please. Wow, the way those are lined up, it's like exactly wrong. And wait for the flip. There we go. 79 by 80, good enough. A little bit more. 80 by 80. Let's see how much thrust to weight, or how much delta V we have left. This is where I'm not going to be able to turn into the node. Because I only have the probe cores. Oh, you know what else is a problem? There's like no battery charge on this probe core. So, not a very well designed payload. We'd have to extract the fuel with the claw. We'll just bust into the side of the tank with the grippers and the claw. This is never going to turn. I'm holding down D and nothing is happening. The gimbals will let us turn. Anyways. 30-second burn. Look at them gimbals letting us turn. I love it. I'm actually going to swing a little bit low to correct that little bit high we just had. And then I'm going to go back to the blue thingy and burn this out. Look, the kicker itself is actually going to put the payload in orbit. This is a great segue. This is actually a really good segue for the next thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to end the episode with. And I'm really trying to get this in the 2-hour time frame, right? I'm definitely trying to do it because I appreciate people hanging out, and I want to be respectful of your time. If you came for something and you have 2 hours to spend, you told a significant other, I totally have to attend a class this evening, a class in orbital mechanics, a class in rocket science, or whatever excuse you use to watch the stream. I totally want to be respectful of your time and get to the end of the topic in 2 hours. That's what I try to do with Kerbal Space Academy. Maybe we'll do some free play afterwards. That sounds like a good plan to me. But let's get this done, son. Doop. So look at that. We've actually got this entire tank and that thing in orbit, ready to go with extra fuel in the kicker. Quite a bit of extra fuel in the kicker, honestly. Look at that. 625 fuel in the kicker. That's not bad. That's honestly not bad. Let me see what else I have. Da-da-da-da-da. Crazed. I can't debug it with that information. It didn't make it to orbit. That's all you give me? It just didn't make it to orbit? It was probably flying. Not gonna lie. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and turn off that SAS. Turn off that stupid probe core, too. This guy made it to orbit. 100 tons to orbit. Not a big deal. Just because on the first die... Scraggles is probably right. On the first try, we built it by the numbers, and because we had the numbers correct, we knew that this guy was going to go to orbit. Everything else aside. Let's talk about one more thing, right? Earlier we had talked about putting a little bit more, having the lifter do more work, and having the kicker do less work, right? We were talking about having the kicker be like 0.9 or something like that, and the lifter having more delta V, like 3,000 and 1,000 with a 0.9 or something like that. I developed these numbers, like when I came up with these numbers, I totally just made them up, by the way. Pilot error, crazy. PEBKEC, pilot error, insufficient flying, gray matter resources, or whatever was happening there. Anyways, when I developed these numbers, I was actually coming up with this in a career mode, where I was playing around with different cost rocket designs. And I had installed Deb Recovery, which is a mod that gives you credit for stages that deorbit based on the number of chutes that they have. And I was using real chutes to put more chutes, you know, basically recover the stages, right? So I was trying to tune these rockets so that I would get the maximum funds recovered and get them to orbit every time, right? That's what I was trying to do. The reason I came up with 1.5 or 2.5 kilometers per second of delta V and 1.7 thrust to weight on the lifter stage was because that takes the lifter just up past your gravity turn. You get your gravity turn a little bit with the lifter. You go up to that 50k apoaps, but that's not all the lifter. And what that gets you, by doing a little bit less work with the lifter, it lands closer to KSC, right? And when it lands closer to KSC, you get more money back for it. So basically, if you could have the lifter go straight up and fall straight back down, those lifter stages are really expensive. And to have them land closer to KSC was 50, 100,000 credits difference. Funds, whatever those words are. Difference. That's why I didn't want the lifter to land halfway around the planet by doing a lot of work. I actually wanted the lifter to land really close to KSC, and I wanted the kicker to basically go into orbit. Because what I can do, how can I improve this, right? How can I improve this guy so that I got the maximum amount of refund from him if I was playing in career mode. A, I would want to land and recover the kicker near KSC, right? And B, I wouldn't want this to be uncontrollable. Right now, as soon as we ditch that kicker stage, we got no control authority on it because there's no probe core on it. So let's go back and fix that right quick. We're going to spend a couple minutes fixing that and just showing one more tweak that you can put on your lifters. Or on your lifters and your kickers, I guess. Let me show what you can put on your kicker just so that you can get more money back if you're playing in career. So, what am I trying to do? You could be less patient. It costs you more fuel. Nice. Darn patient. Were you not being patient there or something? What? What have I just missed there? I don't even know what you're talking about, Mitsukichi. I didn't read the context of what you were saying. But let's make a couple fixes to this. I don't want to spend a lot of time because I want to get to the special mission, the reward for everybody who hung out in the stream, basically. I need to put struts down here, right? Yes, I need to put struts. Highway to the danger zone, grabbing that strut, yo. Oh my goodness, 3x symmetry doesn't put them on equally. How far away is that? About that far? Yeah, that looks good. Yes, I know. I need to use the editor extensions. About like that. I'm just trying to get it straight. If you don't get the struts, if you just randomly toss struts on, the way the struts actually strut your rocket into place can cause some turning and stuff like that that you don't want. So let's see here. I am actually going to... I'm just going to go with the same lifter design, the same kicker design. I am going to add one part to it. I'm going to add 4 parts to it, actually. I need SAS on the kicker. That's important. Let's use those. This is a big kicker. Why not? By the way, if you're wondering the difference between these and these have more torque and cost more. These have less torque and cost less. $600 for these. What's the torque? 8 versus these $1,200, $15 on the torque. That's why I tossed those on there. Let's put those back on. Now we've got torque on there. The other thing we need is a probe core. You can put a probe core on however you want. You know my special way of putting one on is to go 1x symmetry, put that down like that, get my little bulbous node. I don't mind clipping this part, right? It's one of the only parts that I don't mind clipping. Clipping it in there. This keeps it out of the way of my payload and that sort of stuff. Slap a battery on. Now we've got rotational control authority. Check. We've got command authority, the probe core. Check. We've got a battery. That also shows me where the dorsal side is, right? So I can fly it. Check. We want to also put some little solar panels on there or RTGs. I think I'm just going to toss RTGs on this one. Solar panels would be cheaper. For the sake of the stream, I'm just going to toss 2 RTGs on here like this. That is fine. That's not really how you're supposed to mount RTGs, but that's how I do it. Half the radiation, or half the dissipation of heat. This right here, I believe, should go to orbit. Oh, the last thing that we need. We're actually going to need a little bit more, honestly. In fact, just to keep things simple, I'm going to do it this way. 3, 4. Yeah, what's up now? This is definitely going to go to orbit. This could carry a lot more. It's just about where it needs to be, but this one is way overbuilt. This one could actually help you go out to the moon or whatever. If you had 100 tons you needed to send to the moon, this kicker may be able to do it. Let's find out. I've got power, I've got command authority, I've got battery, I've got SAS, I've got engine, I've got more delta V than I need. We are awesome. So much easier to spot the orientation. That's that's why I put a single green one as opposed to a green one on my right and a red one on my left, because isn't it, you look at the one on the right, if it's green, the plane is going away from you. If it's red, the plane is coming towards you. Is that how it works? Somebody correct me. Luis, you should know that. So this is overbuilt. This stage could actually deliver the payload, maybe not quite out to the moon. Maybe so, I'm not sure. It could definitely do a free return out to the moon, I guess. Let's see here. Scraggles, I have a kid who loves playing KSP. So, no worries there. Do they maybe need some help? Yes. They might need some help in doing it, but my kiddo has a lot of fun playing KSP. Not gonna lie. This is good. I think the last thing that we need would be ridiculous amounts of parachutes. I'm not going to go into tuning it. I do things on real shoots if you're interested in that. I guess I could do it really freaking quickly. How quickly could I do it? Get rid of all those things. just put it like that. Go to reel shoots. I'm just going to slap as many reel shoots as I can grab on there. Radial reel shoots in 8x symmetry. There we go. Let's tune them. To tune reel shoots, if you don't know, hey, oh, you go to the action groups. Why was I thinking that was in the action groups? You go to the action groups. You click on the shoot. I'm going through this really fast because I want to get it done. Let's go next size. That's fine. Let's say that we want to touch down at 5.5. Let's say that we're going to use 8 shoots. Can you do it? Apply to all symmetry counterparts. Meh. Reel shoot says it can do it. Okay. I do have some VODs on reel shoots, or when I talk about tuning craft using reel shoots, I do go into that in detail. In the interest of time, I'm not going to do it here. But if you're interested in that, you can actually look at some of my saved sessions on YouTube. The YouTube channel. Wow, I need to make a bot spammer that does the YouTube channel. That should be good. Reel shoot says it's going to go. Here's our Mooner payload with no docking ports on it. You know something? Just so you guys shut up about it. Wait, what? No, I did not throw that away. Seriously? You have to be kidding me. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back all the way. Sometimes I hate it when the part, like, sticks. Does the part ever stick to your cursor and then you go to get another part and it actually throws away the old part? Sometimes you just click too fast, I guess. Let me do this again. You should watch it again if you were interested in reel shoots. Utility tab. I'm putting on radio reel shoots. I'm slapping on 8 of them. That was good. 8 radio reel shoots. Go to action groups to tune them. Click on the shoot. Next size. Makes it bigger. Scroll down. Set it to wanted touchdown speed. You can leave it at 6. I do 5.5 for safety. Number of parachutes used 8. Apply all symmetry counterparts. Close. Go. Now this time rebuild the craft without ruining the reel shoots thing. Okay. Did y'all see that? With no payload, this is SSTO. This thing can go into orbit. 4139. This will go into orbit on its own. Carrying that probe core as its payload. That's not surprising. Alright, let's not throw any parts away this time because we want to get to the stuff at the end of the stream. This stuff. Oh, that is not looking good. Okay, well, how did 2 of those get there? Alright. Those shoots. No. Incorrect. Make sure all my staging's good. This guy's good to go. He's going to have extra delta V left over when he gets into orbit. Let's have a look. We'll be able to recover him as well. So let us do this. Does shoot... let me answer that. Actually, let me get this going up here, and I will totally answer that question. 100-ton lifter. Save. Launch. Let me get that question. Where was it? Make a really tall one. Zool. Shoot placement only matters if you're actually going to fly the craft down. Right? So if you're going to fly the craft down to get the recovery... Wait, did I not do the struts? Why are the struts taken off? KSP. Revert flight. Vehicle assembly. Just keep swimming. Apparently broke my struts for some reason. That's not even what I clicked on. I wasn't anywhere near that engine. Alright. Look at that. It broke my freaking struts, yo. Rage strut quit. Strut rage quit. There we go. Now we've got struts. Now we're good to go. Is this an expensive rocket at almost 500,000 credits? Yeah. Welcome to KSP. Launch. You're not sure how the trusses would do in near far? Yes. Leaves a part behind. I think that's what happened. Yeah, whenever I did Control Z, it definitely put another thing. Much. It needs to be enough shoots to be under 6.0 in deb recovery. So if you're doing deb recovery, it has to be under 6.0. The reason I type in 5.5 is because that way if I land a little bit above sea level, I have some buffer, right? But in real shoots, to get the full, the best landing condition, it has to be under 6.0 landing speed. In what I was explaining about the shoots, panel lock, SAS engage, throttle up, go for Papa Palpatine. There we go. Let's fly this to space. Is from the giant radial LFO boosters, right? We could probably procedural firings. So anyways, the placement of these chutes is only important if you're going to fly the craft down. Deb recovery doesn't check to see if the craft landing would land, then fall over and explode. It doesn't check for that. It just checks what the touchdown speed is. It sees where it's going to land, it figures out the altitude at the place it's going to land, and it figures out the mass of the chutes, the size of the chutes on the craft versus the dry mass or whatever the actual mass of the craft is at the altitude that it's going to impact Kerbal. It figures out what all is going on there, and it says, all right, if I can touch down under 6 meters per second, you get full credit. If I touch down under, I think it's 10 meters per second, you get like half credit, and if you touch down more than 10 meters per second, you get like no credit, basically. But it doesn't simulate whether or not after touching down, that craft would fall over into the ocean and explode because it, doesn't land correctly. It doesn't simulate that. I hope that answers the question there. Let's go ahead and do the gravity turn. I bet you most of the cost is from this. Could we design the same thing with solid boosters? Yes. And I will begin doing classes, I will begin doing sessions on solid boosters after 2.5 comes out and the radial decoupler bug is fixed. Right now I'm doing this as the way to do it because radial decouplers are getting on my nerves right now and I am not interested in using them at all. That's why I spam these. In my career save, I've got these quad thrusters, and they're actually sets of 4 of the big solid boosters. I had so many rockets tuned to fly with those quad thrusters in my career save, and when it broke in 0.2, 4.2, I basically was an unhappy camper. So there we go. That's actually going to deorbit pretty close to KSP. I'll look at the debris in a second. This guy is actually going to get into orbit. It's got so much delta V. He'll be good. I'm going to take her up to 80 like I've been doing. 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. That should be fine. We'll go down a little bit, but we are increasing altitude very quickly. Again, do the circularization burn. Put it on the apoapse. Let's move precise node down a little bit, I guess. Put it on the apoapse. Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it. There we go. And there we go. Oops, that was too much. 492. Bring it on back. We're going to see how much delta V we have, and then we're going to go on to the special rocket. 80. 78. Good enough. Let's see how much delta V this craft has left. There is my rotational control authority on the kicker, so it's allowing me to turn this time. This kicker is pushing this payload. This is an inert payload, right? The payload's doing nothing. It says it's going to be a 1-1-3 burn, so half of that is going to be 35, 36, 37 seconds. So we will start going at T-minus 37 seconds, and it won't go to the moon. This won't let it go to the moon. How do I know? 1200 minus 1700 is 500. I'll have 500 meters per second left. I totally skipped the burn. That's okay. I'm only going to have 500 meters per second left. That won't get me to the moon. I could use some fuel out of this tank to get to the moon. You need a demo? Okay. We will build this and we will have a demo of what the decoupler bug is. We will have a demo of what the decoupler bug is. Due to completely wacky things. Steel Mage, if you're at the descending node, you need to burn north. So, heading north, horizontal north, I keep calling it. I don't know if that's what the last thing is. But put it right here between the blue and the orange, and put it on the end and burn that way. When you're at the descending node, that will make it an ascending node. Hopefully. I don't know. I just made that up. Just kidding. That's right. You can trust me. You can totally trust me. Jeez. Anyways, y'all get the point with this craft, right? We are able to get 100 tons into orbit reliably. Let's take it back to the VAB. We don't need to fly this anymore. I'm going to get back to the VAB. I'm going to answer some questions, and we're going to build the for fun craft. Yes. T-game, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Dang it, I even tested this yesterday. It's one of the few things I tested to make sure it would work. And you guys are all giving away all my secrets. Dad, blame it. We have exactly 700 followers. That's awesome. I definitely need to get in the UK streaming sort of deal. Luis with the technical question there. That is actually a valid question. Do you want to increase or decrease inclination? let me go ahead and grab this. I'm going to save it as the 100-ton lifter. Drop it into the assembly zone. We're going to say this is the 100-ton lifter. I really should have put some sort of prefix on them so they all stick together. But 100-ton lifter, now we've got it. That's cool. This is good. Guys, we are going to go on to the special mission. Reduce. Yeah, there you go. So to get an equatorial orbit, you would burn north. If you're in your descending node, you would burn south on the ascending node. Here is what we are going to do. We're going to turn this into DOS free play mode. I was trying to finish Kerbal Space Academy right at the 2-hour mark. We went over the different numbers for designing lifters. They're very forgiving lifters. They have extra delta V built in. They will get you to orbit. They have a little bit more thrust to weight. Is it the only way to get to orbit? No, it's not. Will it consistently get you to orbit if you go on the bounce by the numbers? Yes. They will consistently get your payloads to orbit. We talked about designing 2 different lifters, a very small one and a very big one. You could design lifters for any sort of payload you wanted using the same sort of thing. 2 stages is all it takes. Some of the parts are so OP. Zipstick. Zipstick. Thanks for joining Kerbal Space Academy. Let me get through the recap. Dude, I totally appreciate the follow. We talked about how to save those lifters as subassemblies. We talked about after we build a payload that has a specific amount, how we can actually grab it out of the subassembly, which freezes the game, put it back on. And then we talked about a little bit of tuning, recovering our stages for funds using deb recovery. I didn't demonstrate deb recovery, but we did talk about this guy has a probe core on it. He's got control authority. He's got extra fuel. He's got chutes. He could be landed back at KSC. We would be good to go. We could recover him. That is freaking awesome. So, that was Kerbal Space Academy for lifter design and tuning. Thank you very much for joining me. Here's what's going to happen. Special mission hype. Yes, much. Thank you very much. I have a special mission. It is going to be relevant to the lifters. We're going to be doing some asparagus staging with some special parts. Some of you probably know what I mean. There's going to be 6 fuel tanks and 6 engines in this thing. We're going to see how far we get with this thing. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hiccup the stream. What I want to do is cut this off so I can upload it to YouTube as the Lifter KSA session, the Lifter Design KSA session. Under 2 hours, that's what I'm shooting for. That's the size of a YouTube video that I can upload. So what's going to happen, the stream's going to go offline for just a second. You're going to have to watch an ad. I'm not a Twitch partner, so that doesn't do anything for me. But if you could stay through the ad, I'm going to be right back. We're going to go into DOS free play mode, the Delta Pepper rocket. We're going to go into DOS free play mode. That's awesome. We're going to turn some chiptunes on, some music. We're going to have a little bit more fun with this. And we are going to take my Dr. Pepper cans that I have right here. Dang it! Go away! You there, save! New! I want to build some hype for this. We are going to take a 6-pack of Dr. Pepper cans and see how far we can get them. So, stream's going to hiccup. We're going to play some music. I'm going to be right back. If you want to stay around for DOS free play, that's what's happening next. We're going to see how far we can get a 6-pack of Dr. Pepper cans. If you were here last night, you know that a single Dr. Pepper can went around the moon and safely returned. It was an SSDP, a single-stage Dr. Pepper, to Mooner free return trajectory, safely landed back at Kerbal in a powered landing. No shoots on that puppy. Last night we got the Dr. Pepper can around the moon. What did we clip the moon at, like 600? What was the lowest elevation? I think we hit like, came within 3,000 meters of the moon or something like that. We got a Dr. Pepper can within 3,000 meters of the moon. We brought it back home and safely landed it on Kerbal with 1 can, 1 engine, 1 probe core, and a couple batteries and stuff like that. So, I am going to build an asparagus Dr. Pepper 6-pack, and we're going to see how far she will fly when we come back. Don't go anywhere. I'm totally going to be doing this. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love the Dr. Pepper thing. And I will be right back.